All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got week number 8 in the NFL. We got the Sunday slate video to dive into today. We're going to go through and break down each and every game here on Sunday. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within each game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Now, before we do dive into the slate, I'm going to ask you guys to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys have been absolutely crushing it lately, and I thank you to the extreme. Seriously, really do appreciate all the channel support. Make sure to let me know all of your favorite plays for this Sunday slate down in the comments as well. I love reading and interacting and just reacting to some of those comments down there because you guys are throwing out some bangers of plays in the comments. So keep doing that. Drop them down in the comments. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here. We got the Falcons taking on the Dolphins. Right now, Falcons laying 7 points. Total sitting at 44.5. One thing to note is that this Miami team is just a dumpster fire, right? It's going to be tough at any point to want to ride with them or back them. So yes, I am going to lean towards the Falcons here. I do think 7 points is a decent amount, but ultimately this Falcons team should really pressure Tua and get to him, and that's kind of how you make him make mistakes, and he'll make some damn mistakes, right? Against the blitz this year, which, by the way, the Atlanta Falcons are the number 2 team in terms of blitz rate so far through the first half of the year. Tua has a 6.5% interception rate. Yeah, not all that great, right? So I do think that they cause a few turnovers and everything like that. I'm going to lean Falcons. I also don't mind the idea of a Miami team total under. This Falcons team, the defense has been pretty damn impressive to me. The pass defense specifically, actually allowing the fewest passing yards per game in the entire league right now. So I think that this pass defense is going to give Tua a headache, and if they can't pass the ball, we'll be able to stack the box here on the Atlanta side of things and make sure Achan doesn't necessarily burn us. So all Atlanta for me. Again, Miami team total under is also something that I'd consider, but this is just a dumpster fire of a Miami team. It's going to be tough to want to back them at any point this year. Next up, we have the Ravens taking on the Bears. We may be seeing Lamar Jackson come back here, so Baltimore looks to get a little bit healthier. DeAndre Swift is questionable on the Bears side of things, but he's carried an injury designation into the last couple weeks, and yet he's still managing to play, right? So I do think that we'll have both teams healthy. In terms of what side we look at, this Lamar-led Ravens team, let's not forget how good everyone thought they would be. Now, they did lose that heartbreaker in, week 1, and then they beat up on the Browns, and then they haven't won a game since. But obviously, when Lamar's out, an MVP-esque player is out, it's going to do some damage to your squad, right? Now, this Chicago team is seemingly firing on all cylinders. They're 4-2 this year. Those 4 wins have all come in a row. They beat Dallas, Las Vegas, Washington, and New Orleans. I do like the idea of this being somewhat of a close competitive game, but I think if Lamar plays with Derrick Henry healthy, I think that this Baltimore team pulls away at the end. So I'm going to lean in that direction, but what I really like here is the idea of an over. Neither one of these defenses I'm loving, right? In terms of the Bears defense, they're allowing the 5th most points allowed per game. The Ravens allowing the most in the entire league. I could easily see this one getting to 27-23, and then someone scores again and puts it even more over the top. In the case of us leaning towards the Ravens, maybe them, but I really do see some points coming in this spot. I will say, in terms of what the Ravens run, the outside zone run with Derrick Henry, this is the 3rd worst team in terms of yards per carry on the Bears defensively against that run type. Derrick Henry may go out there and have himself a day. So I'd lean towards him, score a touchdown, as well as some of his yards. Obviously, with Lamar coming back, that'll be important to kind of open things up for him. But even if Lamar's not playing in this one, I do end up still liking Derrick Henry overall from a player prop perspective. All right, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Chalkboard. They have amazing deals going on right now. First and foremost, a couple free squares for new users for Sunday. Josh Allen in the early slate, and then the late slate, Jordan Love. Both of those 0.5 passing yards. They pass for 1 yard. Boom, it cashes. But they're also giving you a 100% deposit match. Absolute no-brainer, guys. Chalkboard is awesome. I've been loving the app myself. You guys have seen me posting it on Instagram and in short form content as well. I love the fact that you can do game picks on there, right? This is no longer just a DFS app. They now have game picks, money line, total, spread, all that stuff, guys. Go check it out. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Shout out to Chalkboard, man. They are doing some big things over there, and you should go ahead and try it out. Check it out. Again, that link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Next up, we have the Panthers and the Bills. Now, if you were to tell me through, 7 weeks of the NFL season that the Panthers and Bills would have the same amount of wins, I would tell you you're crazy. But yeah, the Panthers sitting at 4-3, the Bills sitting at 4-2. Those two losses from Buffalo came in their most two recent games. New England in primetime, and then against Atlanta in primetime as well. Well, this game I think will be a little bit different. I do think that it's a nice enough spot to fade Carolina here. Overall, this Bills team is still very, very good, right? And Josh Allen should be just sitting back there and being able to dissect this team overall, especially because they play a lot of zone and don't pressure the quarterback. So I see a good day from Josh Allen and his receivers, even from the running department, right? I think that James Cook should be able to run on this squad as well. Chuba, Enrico Dowdle, all of a sudden this backfield has some life to it, I guess we should say. I think the Bills could get run on. We've seen that all year long, so maybe that's the angle for the Panthers, but I do just see big play after big play happening coming out of Josh Allen here. And the fact that this is just a 7-point spread in what I would evaluate these two teams' talent being that great of a difference, I think we have to lean towards Buffalo. I know, guys, so far we're 3 games in and we've just leaned the chalky favorite in all 3, but it is what it is, right? I also don't mind the idea of a Buffalo team total over in this spot. Yes, this is a Panthers defense that honestly has made some plays, but realistically, I think the thing that they've won these games with is owning the time of possession on the offensive end. There's a team that actually has a higher offensive time of possession rating than this season. It's the Buffalo Bills. So I do think the Bills will hold the ball most of the game and be able to score efficiently and kind of rise that team total up there. So I'm going to lean towards the Bills as well as their team total over. All right, this next one's a little weird here. Bengals taking on the Jets. Now, the Jets still 0-7, right? The Bengals 3-4. They did get their last win there against Pittsburgh. Joe Flacco looks like he's making this team a little bit better. Obviously, it's not the hardest of levels to get to be better than Jake Browning. But still, their defense is the issue, right? Like, this is a team that's allowing over 30 points per game. They're getting passed on a ton, run on a ton. And I do think that the Jets still have a little life defensively in them. And if we look at the Jets game log, it's kind of crazy in terms of their schedule, right? Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami, Dallas, Denver, Carroll. Like, they've played some legitimate defenses. In a game against Miami, they ended up being able to at least put up 20-something points because Miami's a bad defense, right? Dallas, they put up 20-something points. I do think that, the Bengals are going to allow the Jets to score some points here. So, yeah, maybe it's worth the psycho alert alarm to lean towards a winless team here. But if you can get this at, 7 or 6.5, something like that, I do think it's worth having those points in your back pocket. I think we're going to have a good offensive day, relatively speaking, from the Jets. And again, Joe Flacco makes the Cincinnati team much better, and I know they have a ton of talent, but overall, I think that defense is still just massive laps there. So I'm going to lean towards the over as well as the Jets. We do have some injuries. I should have started with this, but Breece Hall is questionable. If he doesn't go, yeah, it probably makes me a little bit cooler, I guess, on the Jets, but I still don't mind the over. Like, I think Joe Flacco and the offense can score some points, and like I keep saying, like a broken record, I think this Bengals defense really, really does stink. Hey guys, wanted to plug the merch that we have here on the channel, fademe.store, or go to guybostonsports.com/store. They'll take you to the exact same place. A ton of really cool stuff on the site right now. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but you might be able to. We got a ton of samples behind me, just like these Just Bet It hats, the structured snapback. These just got in today or yesterday. Really, really cool stuff, guys. All this will be going live, some of the new product, on Sunday at the time you guys are watching this video. So check it out, fademe.store, fademe.store, or guybostonsports.com/store. Go check out the merch. Help support us, but you also get some awesome merch at the same time. Check it out. All right, Houston taking on San Fran. There's a ton of injuries to note here, and we'll obviously want to keep an eye on it. Brock Purdy questionable, though this San Fran team has looked okay with Mac Jones, right? Ricky Pearsall questionable. On the other side of things, Schultz, Collins, Kirk, all questionable, especially Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, two massive pieces to this offense. Questionable. So we're going to want to keep an eye on that. The one thing I will say is Houston's issues have come from not protecting CJ Stroud this year, right? this really isn't a defense on the 49ers end that pressures the quarterback whatsoever. I mean, they're 31st in pressure rate. They're blitzing at like the 7th fewest. So it's like CJ Stroud may be okay to sit back there. The problem is, if he doesn't have his weapons, Dalton Schultz, Nico Collins, even Christian Kirk, if none of these guys are playing, it begs the question of who's he passing to, right? And we know that this run game really hasn't been all that phenomenal, and I don't expect it to be good in this game because San Fran's run defense is pretty good. So yeah, I started to kind of like the idea of the Texans with a protected CJ Stroud, but ultimately, I do think that this is a low-scoring game, and I'd rather the points here. Even if Mac Jones plays and we don't see Brock Purdy, I still do like San Fran. Obviously, no Fred Warner is a big hit to their defense, but I still trust the defense. And if we have a defensive game going back and forth, I kind of trust, the coaching, I guess, even of the 49ers to pull out a close win. And the fact that we're getting a couple points, you can get them at slight plus money, that's a direction I'll lean in. So I'm going to lean towards San Fran as well as the under in this spot. From a player prop perspective, I do like the idea of someone like Dalton Schultz. Actually, the San Fran team's been pretty soft covering tight ends this year. If he plays, I think we're going to see a guy get a lot of targets, and we did get a decent amount of yards in that last game they played, right? So that's definitely kind of in the front of my mind, but we want to make sure he's playing first. All right, I've really gone back and forth on this one in this dumb brain of mine. The Patriots taking on the Browns. I am a Patriots fan. I'm remaining unbiased in this, though. I can promise you that. They're laying 7 points, and they have looked so good. Drake May has looked unbelievable, right? But there's part of me that sits there and goes, okay, at some point, not the wheels falling off entirely in the Patriots stink. That's not what I mean. But at some point, you hit a little bit of a peak and you have somewhat of a setback. I could see it happening here against the Browns, but I really don't know how the Browns are going to move the ball up the field. You know what I mean? So I guess I do lean towards the idea of an under here in this spot because I think you have two really solid defenses. I don't think the Patriots have the easiest time moving the ball either. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson has had a couple games now where he's looked really good, whether it's the touchdowns or the yards and not fumbling the ball. But this is arguably the best rush defense in the entire league they're going up against, right? So you're going to put the ball in Drake May's hand a lot. And yeah, as a Patriots fan, I trust that. But again, at some point, we could still see him make a young quarterback's mistakes and stuff like that. So I do like the Patriots to win this game. I do lean in their direction, but I'm not going to be touching that 7 points. If anything, if we were to get some action in on this game, it's probably Patriots money line as some sort of a parlay piece rather than hoping they win by touchdown plus. But the under is also, like I said, something that I'm thinking about there. Maybe even just a Browns team total under because I really don't envision them scoring a bunch of points. They're only averaging 16 point something, 0.1 or 2 points per game this year. Pretty ugly. Eagles taking on the Giants. We just saw this matchup a couple of weeks ago in primetime, and the Giants won as underdogs, right? Now, Eagles laying 7.5 points, and guys, have you noticed how many of these games are like the 6 to 7 point range spreads? It's a tough week there because a lot of key numbers. I know it's going to be chalky, but I think the world's going to be on this. I do like the idea of the Eagles in this spot. 7 points, 7.5 points does make me a little concerned because this is a divisional game, a little bit of a rivalry, that type of thing. Maybe the Giants do keep this somewhat close, but I just can't fully see that happening, right? A.J. Brown may miss. I think he's missed some practice, and he is carrying a questionable injury designation coming into this, so keep an eye on that. But ultimately, I still think that the Eagles get the job done. Maybe they are a parlay piece, kind of like the Patriots, where we do like them in this spot, but those amount of points to lay in a game in which you could see something get sloppy and messy, and having 7.5 points is a really big deal in your pocket. Maybe they are more of a parlay piece for me. I bet they're going to be one of the most common survivor picks this week as well. Revenge spot at home. They are the better team. Could easily see that happening. So yeah, by the way, guys, we only have, I think, like 50 something people left. I'm already out in the survivor contest. My dad is still in, so wishing him luck in that. Not going to spoil who he picked, but hopefully we do. The Survivor has been really fun because there's been a lot of people picking the same teams the last couple weeks. It's been like the Chiefs, and I forget who before, but all of a sudden, like in the last 2 weeks, it went from 64 people left, only 58. Like only 6 people have been kicked in the last couple weeks. Things are intense right now. Another conversation for another day. Let's move on to the next game. Actually, I like the idea of the Eagles, like I said, but in terms of a total, I kind of am back and forth on this one. I'd probably say Eagles team total over because I do think that they bring it here. And I want to like the idea of Saquon. We didn't see the spark last time he played his old squad. I think we might get it here. We're just like waiting for Saquon to do something, right? Saints taking on the Bucks here. Mike Evans, obviously, if you watch that, got injured. He's not going to be here for this one. Broken clavicle or something, and a concussion. Like, he got, yikes, right? When he just got back to. You know, Chris Godwin's also going to miss this, so at least Baker Mayfield does have Emeka Egbuka, who, you know, I guess you could say cooled off last week in that bad game against the Lions. But I will say, this line seems like it's a little bit of an overreaction. I've even seen some 3.5s out there. This Saints team is not good. They have one win. It came against the Giants. The Bears just spanked them. The Patriots spanked them. I really am missing why this line is so low, I guess. Is it because, you know, Tampa Bay just got beat up on by Detroit? Like, maybe that's it. But even with, you know, the injuries that they've had, I still expect Baker Mayfield to do Baker-esque things. And he's going up against the Saints defense that I really do think that he can have a decent enough day against. So I'm going to lean towards the Bucks in this spot. But man, oh man, does it smell like a trap. Like, if they didn't lose that game, say the Bucks beat the Lions, maybe even Mike Evans doesn't get hurt, something like that. This is like, I would think, a 7.5 to 8 point spread. You know what I mean? But the fact that you're looking at this at 3.5 in some places, and you can buy half to get it down to 3, probably for not all that much, you know, it's kind of weird in the sense. Maybe it's just because New Orleans is at home, but ultimately I don't think that Spencer Rattler is going to be all that great. I think that they'll be able to pressure him. This Bucks team obviously blitzes a ton. They'll probably scramble him a little bit. So yeah, to me, this is a spot in which we can consider the Bucks for sure. Also, they run a lot of man rushing schemes. That was more so with Bucky Irving. With Rachaad White, like, it's a little bit different, but either way, this New Orleans ground defense is god-awful, right? So even if it doesn't have to just be Baker Mayfield, I still really like the idea of the Bucks here. I don't mind the idea of a New Orleans team total under. I really am not feeling Spencer Rattler in this game whatsoever. But yeah, it's going to be a Baker show, I would imagine. But even if it's not, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some good ground game from them. But I like Baker. If you can get him for, you know, over 1.5 passing touchdowns, that might be something to consider as well. Broncos taking on the Cowboys here. This Cowboys team dropped 44 points last week, but guess what? The Broncos did score 33. That's why this total is way up there. Now, I will say, I think the first thing in my first initial read would be the under in this spot. I like the idea of the Denver defense probably being the best thing in this game. And ultimately, even with a really bad Cowboys team allowing over 30 points per game, nearly 270 through the air, I think like 150 on the ground, like bad defense. We know that, right? We still, I don't know if I want to just crown this Broncos team a really good offense after they scored 33 to the Giants, right? They played the Jets the week before, and they scored like, I forget what it was, 13, or that was the overseas game, 13, I think. So, I mean, it's like, even if this, so this is the math in my head, right? Broncos play good defense on Dak. Even if Dak and the Cowboys offense with CeeDee Lamb back looks pretty good, they score, 21 points, something like that. If Denver truly carves up the Cowboys defense and scores, say, 27 points, we're still sitting at 48 points, nowhere near that 51. Well, I guess somewhere near it. But I do think that the under is going to be something that we consider playing here, especially Denver at home. I like the idea of them kind of coming out here and being a little bit dominant. At home, so far this year at home, I don't think they've hit a single over yet. So there you go. And this is a really big number, and I don't think that they're the offense to do their part. So I do lean towards the Broncos. Like I said, that's kind of the biggest thing in this game. The defense, I would say that. But ultimately, I don't think that this is going to be a very, very high-scoring game. So I like the idea of an under more than anything, clearly. All right, the largest spread of the week here. We have the Colts, 14.5 outside 2 scores. In terms of being favored over this Tennessee team. I guess rightfully so. We know this Tennessee team is just trash for all intensive purposes. The Colts defense, though, isn't all that great. I could see Cam Ward. I talked about this on H2H, the show that I do with Tassos. If you guys want to check that out, it's posted on the channel. I do think Cam Ward could have a decent enough game to keep this somewhat competitive. 14.5 is 14.5, man. I wish it was Tennessee at home, but I do think that this is a little bit too much. Obviously, the Colts are the better team. No one's saying that, but this is like when we looked at the Bengals plus 14.5 against who they played, the Green Bay Packers a few weeks ago, and it was like, that just seems a little bit too big. Even if the Colts are the real deal, they can win this game by 10, 14 points and still not cover doesn't really sit right with me. So yeah, I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I know it's kind of crazy. Give me the Titans plus the 14.5. Total sitting at 47.5. I guess I'll lean over because, like I mentioned, I think this Colts team obviously has a good offense, but I think Cam Ward and the Titans may be able to move the ball better than they have at different times this season because the secondary and the pass defense here really isn't all that great for the Colts. So yeah, you might see a Cam Ward over 198.5 passing yards on my ticket. A little bit crazy. You know what? We'll sound the psycho alert alarm for that as well, but it is something that I'm considering here. All right, guys, we got Sunday Night Football. Now, if you want a more detailed, broken out, standalone video for this game, Tassos has you hooked up here on the channel. I'll talk briefly about this game, but again, if you want the full breakdown, that's posted here on the channel by him as its own separate video. Steelers 3-point dogs here, total sitting at 45.5. Obviously, it's the Aaron Rodgers versus Green Bay sort of rivalry or revenge spot, however you want to call it, right? I think the Steelers team is pretty good. I mean, they obviously lost to Cincinnati in primetime, right? But they scored 31 points. You score 31 points, more often than not, you are going to win the game, I would think, in this league. And they're at 4-2 right now. Both these teams are 4-win teams. I think I like the idea of Aaron Rodgers with a little revenge under his you-know-what here against his old squad. Now, does he have the bad blood with this team like he did with the Jets? Probably not, but still, he probably wants to go out there with a new team that is rearing and going offensively, wants to perform, right? So I kind of trust that. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of Aaron Rodgers' revenge, I'll tell you that. DK Metcalf to score a touchdown. I also really like that as well. This is a decent enough team in terms of defense on the Green Bay side of things, but I don't think it's as good as now we are making it out to be as we were like a couple weeks ago. Are they going to pressure and everything like that? I do think so eventually, but this defense looked like it was going to be world beating to start the year. It has kind of come back down to earth a little bit. So if DK and Aaron Rodgers can get things going, I think it might be a decent enough spot here for the Steelers to keep this game close. And even the Steelers defense, I think, is going to get better and better. Jordan Love, that offense, I kind of ragged on the defense there. Honestly, the offense of this team probably is the thing that is a little dicey because they don't seem as dynamic as they have been in years past. I'm sounding really negative about the Packers. I know the Packers are one of the better teams in the league. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying in this game in general, I do think that there are a lot of arrows pointing towards the Steelers for me. In terms of a total, I don't mind the idea of, an under. I think that both teams, will play really hard, but I could see this being a 24-21 finish or 24-17, something like that, right? Where it's like, yeah, decent enough score. I don't think it's going to be a 9-6 game, but I think that there could be some defensive step up, especially on the Steelers side of things. And again, I don't truly believe in that Green Bay offense, so lean in that direction there as well. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know, again, all of your favorite plays for this week down in the comments. I literally love, I mean that fully, honestly, love reading and seeing what you guys are rolling with and what you have on a week-to-week basis. So really appreciate you tuning in. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.